What is up, everyone? It is the Beast from the Real Ones Canes podcast. Before we get to this week's show, I got to let you know. So, Cam and I recorded this. If you're watching this on Wednesday, the 16th, we recorded this on Tuesday, April 15th, in the evening. And that was before the portal opened and we knew about Ny Carr. So, if you're looking for info or our thoughts on Ny Carr leaving, you're not going to get it in this episode. What you are going to get, though, is some great nuggets on the spring game, some other portal info, recruiting news, all of that and more is coming your way right now. What's up, everyone, and welcome to the Real Ones Canes podcast. He is Cam Underwood, managing editor of State of the U. I am Brian London. I'm the managing editor of this so-called hotel room that I'm in. More on that in a moment. You can follow Cam on the Intercyberwebs X thing at Underwood Sports. You can follow me at Miami Radio Beach. Cam, we are coming off a spring game. We are coming off spring practice. We are coming off another spring in the world of the Miami Hurricanes football program, in which maybe we know some stuff, but maybe we don't. And It really doesn't matter until August anyways, but we will, of course, talk about what we know as we are in the month of April, because people want this. They need it in their lives.
Well, I mean, we all do want it, need it. I like it. I love it. I need some more of it. And yeah, so, I was otherwise occupied on Saturday, but you, my good friend, went to the spring game. So
I did.
Paint us a word picture there, Brian. Like, give us, before we drill down on kind of individual things, give us some broad strokes. How was the day? What was the vibe? Like, paint the picture for us.
Well, I will tell you this. The fans were really happy, and it was a packed Cobb Stadium, which isn't saying much, but still a packed Cobb Stadium. Mm-hmm. But the fans were really happy because they brought back what had been a spring tradition long ago, which was autograph sessions and up close with the players and taking pictures and all of that stuff. Okay. And so the crowd was really happy about that. And so there was a good vibe in the air. Everyone was festive. I saw a lot of former Canes that were in the house. They have that big dinner the night before where everyone comes back. Yeah. I saw the PhD of football, Paul Hilton Davis, aka Butch Davis. He walked right by me. He's lost a lot of weight. He's real thin. Yeah, it was a great day. It was a great time out there. It was hot, but it wasn't like last year was ridiculous out. It was like I needed 17 bottles of water and 4 IVs after last year's spring game. This one was just a 1 Gatorade game. So there you go. But it was a great vibe out there. And then they went out there and had some sort of a spring game that was purposely and always extremely vanilla.
Well, I mean, vanilla is going to be the flavor of the day for spring games and everything, even if they're not on television, because they still I know Miami internally recorded it. There were some videos that came out from yourself and some assembled journalists who were there, taking certain clips and things. So I'll let you drive this part. Well, you want to start on offense or you want to start on defense?
I'll be honest with you. I'm just so the way, and I'll just tell you this.
Okay.
From my past, when I was a sideline reporter, it's really hard to get it to dissect the details of a game from the sideline level. You've watched a million games from the sideline. It's just a different angle than we normally get from the press box, right? Because when we're up in the press box, we can see all 22, we can see formations, we can see what's happening, we can see what's going on down the field, and we can make sense of it. Which is why, obviously, when they're coaching the game, they got coaches up at the booth and they got coaches downstairs, and how they get that view. So from my vantage point, it was really hard for me to get a true grasp on the defense,
Okay.
other than some singular plays. And I was purposely paying more attention to the offense, especially as they rotated the quarterbacks, because I really wanted to see, especially Luke and Judd, just to see what Generation Next might look like. So I have more on the offense than I do the defense.
Okay.
But that
Okay.
doesn't mean we can't talk about both sides. So I didn't really
Well,
answer your
absolutely.
question as to where I want to go first, but that's
No, I
what
think
I've got in my noggin.
I think that you painted a good picture of, where you were, how you were situated, what your view
Right.
was, and what your focus was. So all that makes sense. So we're gonna go with the area that you have the most to say, and then we'll close up on the other one. So starting with the offense, and then starting with the quarterbacks, because I know I'm very interested in this and everything. Have heard, early on, Luke Nickel, was maybe the game was just a touch too fast, but it's kind of slowing down for him, and he's able to do some things. So, obviously not trying to preclude what you're saying, but what did you see from the quarterbacks, Emory Williams inclusive, because he played as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah. So, the spring game, like, it was more competitive in the first half of the spring game. The second half, they basically started running the clock and didn't tackle, and what it was basically like they did like one half of like decent scrimmaging, and then Mario was like, I guess we'll just keep doing this, but we'll kind of fake it and get out of here as
Well,
fast as we can and
yeah,
without
I mean,
any
look,
injuries. Yeah.
right. When running clock, I saw a lot of people
Right.
saying
Yeah.
that they also transition from full tackle to the ground to thud, which is basically,
Yeah.
your pads thud, you wrap your arms, and that's a tackle, not going all
Right.
the way to the
Yes.
ground. So okay, fair.
Exactly.
So it's a little more exhibition-y.
So my point is, I'm going to judge everything mostly by the first half, and there
Okay.
was some good stuff in the second half. But basically, like, the quarterbacks, all three of them started out pretty good. Like, I think the three quarterbacks started out like 15 or 15 or 16 of 16, like
Okay.
like really on target. Everything. Receivers were catching the football. The
Love
offensive
that.
line was protecting. It was just really in sync,
Okay.
for all three of the guys. And then
Mhm.
as the scrimmage kind of progressed, then you started to see, um, like, Emory and Luke separate themselves from Judd, who had some more issues, kind of dissecting defenses, getting the
Okay.
ball to the places he wanted to get it to, making decisions, that sort of things. He did throw an interception or two. I'm not sure
Okay.
what they counted and what they didn't count. Of course, would not give us any stats or rosters or any information about anything,
I mean,
and we
why?
basically were left like, just to paint a picture for the fans that are watching and listening, like, we're all on the sideline, and you could just picture like me and the guys from inside the U, like Chris and David Lake, and then there's Barry Jackson, and then there's Gio, and then there's Gabby, and then like all the people that that cover the Canes, right? We're all just standing there, and we're all basically left up to like us to like come up with information, like, who's that wearing a black jersey with no number on it? Like, oh, let's figure that out. Anyone know? Oh, well, I think that's so and so, and blah blah. Like, that's what it's kind of chaos,
Yeah.
because was providing no information. Um,
Okay.
so like that was kind of the deal. But what I will say is this is, the first string and second string offense. Remember, a lot of guys didn't play or played very sparingly. There was no JoJo out there. So we didn't get to see him catching the football, like but I will say this, the offense um was well run, to as vanilla as it was, really crisp early on. And then, like I said, the first quarter, if not quarter and a half, maybe even the first half alone, they didn't throw a pass more than 15 yards at all. Like, there was not one play called where anyone was stretching the field, anyone was doing there was no routes even being run that were down the field.
Okay.
When they did start doing that, like, it was clear that Emory and Luke were ahead of Judd, just able to get the football to where it needed to be, make the right decisions, make the right reads, know what their offensive line was doing in front of them. And so it was clear that, that, like Emery is still Emery. He's still the same guy. I didn't see him make any leaps forward from where he was in the bowl game. I mean, he played fine, and he's fine. He's a fine quarterback, but nothing jumped off the page. Luke had some intrigue to him, even though he's younger, and it took and there was a couple of misplays by him. There was a couple of times when he went to decide whether I'm going to run or not, and that kind of decision-making process maybe it took a second too long, and then, all right, they're going to call that a sack because, they're not going to let anyone touch a quarterback, so they're just kind of blow the whistle. And in a real game, maybe he would have gotten it out of there. Maybe he wouldn't have. I'm not sure. But you could tell, like, the process was good, but then when it came down to making some more advanced decisions, that it might take a little step longer. And then when it got to Judd, it was in those situations, it was clear, like, he's not ready yet, not even ready for primetime. He's not even ready for late night. So those things kind of separated themselves. And then, the big story on offense was Pringle looked really good as a running back this early on, like really impressed by him. His decision-making as to which hole to hit, his ability to get up the field, his ability to make a move, really good. And then, of course, the story, the MVP, the guy that I'm saving for last year is Malachi Tony. Just ran crisp routes, just great body movement. And we were talking to him after, and you're thinking to yourself, this kid is supposed to be a junior in high school. And I don't want to sit here and tell you that Malachi Tony is the next blank, insert name here. But I want to tell you that I've seen a lot of spring games. I've seen a lot of freshman wide receivers, and there haven't been many other than the greats you can think of who looked like that the first time I got to put my eyes on them. And he really, it was like, it wasn't even close. Ray Ray made some good plays, and Ny Carr made some good plays. And there's a couple of tight ends that showed out and what have you, but like by far, and listen, maybe you'll talk to someone else that saw it differently, but by far, in my mind, like, I could not stop watching him, even when he wasn't getting the football. What was he doing when he wasn't getting the football? All of the right things. He really impressed me, like more than I thought. Like, I knew all the hype coming in, more than I ever thought that I would be impressed by him. He impressed me.
That's encouraging for sure for a guy who, should be in the second semester of his junior year in high school currently, and is instead already on campus at Miami. In terms of quarterback, I saw a lot of people, and I love what you said about the quarterbacks, really gives more depth to it. When I saw that Emory Williams started 10 for 10 as put out there by, I think, Barry Jackson, I quote tweeted that and said, he's a 4A player. He's for, like, the Detroit Tigers. There was a guy named Mike Hessman for years. He was a big first baseman, and I believe he's the all-time minor league career home run leader, and hit 160 when he got up to Detroit. He could never make that transition to the show, but in AAA, he was a step above. But he was in that four. He was too good for the minors, but not good enough for the majors. And I think that Emory is that. He's a guy who is a program guy. He's not, he's, like you said, he's fine. If you need a game, if you need a drive, probably even more, a drive more than a game, but he was never brought here really to be the starter. I still say that this roster has a Jaden Rashada-sized hole from that blue chip quarterback in that same class who was coming here until Florida, let me not say anything that would be untoward, because I don't like Florida, but I was going to go in a place where I don't think I want to say that on a microphone. Anyways, I just, really think that, in terms of the talent in the quarterback room, it's Luke Nickel, beyond Carson Beck, who I believe started throwing today as we're recording this on Monday the 5th or Tuesday the 15th. He's starting yesterday. So that's really encouraging. The Malachi Tony stuff, great. Offensive line, doing what they do. Heard that, saw that. I saw people talking about this walk-on tight end, number 44, Ruskovich.
Yeah. He
Apparently
did.
looking like he's a player, kind of.
He made like one or two good plays, but and I as soon as he made this great catch over the middle,
Okay.
And it was actually right in front of us, and we're all looking at the roster like, who's that guy? We on our phones because we weren't allowed to have a roster that they gave out. So I think we saw him make that catch, and everyone's looking at it and whatever. And then it just dawned on me. It's like, okay, this happened in the fourth quarter of a spring game. Like, so yes, he's a big body. He caught a nice pass, but like, what do I do with that? Right? Am I like, and the funny thing is there's always, right, every spring game I've ever been to, someone that you don't even know who they are or that they exist or that they're on the roster makes a play, the crowd goes ooh and ah, and then come August or September, you're like, well, what happened to so and so? Well, they're a walk on or whatever it is. And I'm not saying that we won't hear from him in the fall. I'm just saying, like, let's not jump to conclusions based on a spring game. Just like I'm not going to tell you that Malachi Tony is, Andre Johnson. Like, I'm not going there yet. But he had a great spring game.
But if he's not Andre Johnson, that means he's Santana Moss. Is that what you're saying? Is that what you're saying,
Santana Moss. I mean, Reggie Wayne, whoever you want him to be, that's who he is.
Okay.
I'd be happy if he was Xavier Restrepo, whoever you want him to be. But and by the way, the offensive line was really crisp. Both the starters and the seconds, and they started rotating guys all through. Our guy Samson played okay.
Hey, that's a step forward.
Now that doesn't mean who knows? Again, spring game, right? Both kickers made a field goal. Yay! There was a bad snap by one of the long snappers, but I didn't catch who it was exactly, and that made my heart palpitate. But it's a spring game, so the thing that you need to take from it is like who looks the part consistently over the day, right? Because anyone can make one play, but who consistently looks the part?
So then taking that forward, tell us who on defense looks the part.
Yeah, I thought Popo looked really good. Raul Aguirre looked good. I thought Wesley looked good. I'm trying to think of who made the stop on the goal line. I think it was it Popo? I can't remember. Someone made a goal line
from the one that was shared on social was Popo.
Yeah, okay, it was him. Yeah, so he looked really good all day. The linebackers looked good all day. Whoever was in there, the secondary looked good, and they were rotating all throughout the day. The defensive line looked fine throughout the day. Again, the thing is it's much easier for me to, like, when there's a quarterback and then there's a pass and it gets caught and then someone runs for 20 yards, like, I'm always going to believe, or I'm always going to say, oh, wow, what a play by the offense. I have no idea what the defense was trying to do. If the guy lost him in coverage, or if the call, I don't know what the call was, what have you. That's not I don't have those abilities. So listen, in the second half, the defense dominated, but then you started to have, a lot more Luke and Judd than Emery. You started to have a lot more third string offensive linemen and guys that, like, on the offense that are not going to see significant playing time. And then the defense kind of took advantage of that. So, but from a defensive perspective, I think what I was looking at on the defensive was we were on the sideline where the defense was. And I will tell you this. I was looking at how is Corey Heatherman and the staff communicating? How were they getting plays in? How were they at talking amongst themselves? Like, we could hear conversations. How were they at needing to call a timeout? And here's a observation. Corey Heatherman's a defensive coordinator, and he was calling the plays. And that dude means something. Like, when he is out there, he means something. But I will tell you this, Jason Taylor is the boss. So, like, JT may not have the title of coordinator, but he's a boss.
He's the coordinator. Okay.
He's not. I don't think he's but he's the boss. Does that make sense? Like, he's not calling the plays, but when it came time, like when there was a timeout, when the defense was huddling up, when guys were coming to the sideline, like you could tell that Jason Taylor is like, he's El Jefe when it comes to that.
And there's a thing, like you can lead without being a leader, like a titled leader kind of a thing. And I think that he's exemplifying that from what you were saying. Just to go all the way back a little bit with your, talking about like watching the defense, like schematically and things. This is why I love being in the press box on game days, because like, if y'all don't know, Brian and myself and Brandon, who's gallivanting elsewhere now, sit in the same row of the press box. And if you follow us on social, I know people always say, oh my God, like you're 10 seconds ahead of the TV feed or whatever. I love that for me, because yes, like, reacting in real time to what's happening. And then there's all kinds of televisions in the press box. Like there's multiple games there's usually like 2 games on, including like, the game that we're at. And
being able to look up. And we usually get the TV feed and also like the scoreboard like feed.
Right.
So like,
or the in-stadium feed.
Right, exactly. In-stadium feed. Yeah, exactly.
Right. So then we're able to see it and then, okay, what? And then look up. And then, because everybody's saying, okay, like the TV feed is 10 seconds behind, see the play, talk about the play, look up again and be like, oh, no, they were trying to play cover 2 invert and this person, and seeing those kind of things. So, yeah, being it's kind of like, being back on in high school coverage there, Brian, like where it's just like, hey, I see what I see and get what I get. But just it made me think of, like just that other part as well. I want to share.
And I will say this. Yeah. I talked about the defensive staff is all new except for JT, and just the way they interacted, it was almost like they've been friends for like 20 years. And I know it's because, like they're like spending every waking moment with each other from like 4 a.m. on. And, not only practice, but the coaches are in meetings. You film like all the stuff. They're doing everything together. Corey's doing install. He's got to like install with the coaches before he installs with the players. Like, and they're spending a ton of time together. So it's like this hyper-focused time during the spring where they have to all get on the same page. So that's why those relationships kind of get furthered. But just in watching them, like it's like JT and D-Lou like operating as a team together. The guys in the defensive backfield like as one. Heatherman, like grouping them all together, like all that stuff. It looked like they've been doing it for a long time. And I even asked Mario about it, and Mario was like, "Yeah, it's been really impressive how those guys have come together." And there was I didn't see one time. I think there was one timeout by the defense, and that was on a field goal try. And I think they I don't know whether they had the wrong personnel or they were trying to like rotate something, but there was no timeouts on the defense, like for a regular scrimmage play, like, which I found ridiculous, right? This is all brand new. The system is new, but that also tells you how well they've done installing it. And we've talked about it being a simpler system. That was obviously the case. There was never times like even, deep into the year last year with Lance Guidry, there's times when guys did not know where to line up. We talked about it last week, right? And this is the first spring game under this new defense, and there was no confusion.
Okay.
And I found that reassuring.
I love hearing that as well. Hopefully the streamlined, simplified, whatever you want to call it, nature of the defense, not holistically, but specifically what's being messaged to the players, that continues to be the way that things go, and then they're able to perform, to the standard of excellence that we greatly aspire. Did you have anything else from the spring game that was kind of percolating, or you wanted to share, or anything else?
I will just say, well, we're going to talk about the portal in the next segment. So, and we're going to talk about a couple of recruiting items and what have you. I will just say this, that you may have seen some things if you were at the spring game. You may have seen guys that looked like they were playing well, or an area that you thought, hey, this looked okay. That doesn't necessarily mean anything as it relates to the portal, right? Like guys may look like they played a spring game, they had a good time, they played well. that means nothing. We're recording this on Tuesday the 15th. The portal opens tomorrow, Wednesday. So as people are watching, it opened today? Why did I think it was open tomorrow?
I thought it aligned with tax day. I thought it was the same. Maybe it's tomorrow, but sorry.
Regardless, as you're watching and listening to this, like, who knows? Like 20 more guys could be in the portal. We don't know. So I don't want to speculate or say anything. I'm just saying, don't get overly comfortable because you saw something on Saturday at the spring game and you're like, wait a minute, why is that guy in the portal? Or why are we looking for X? Why are we looking for a receiver when they all looked great? Or why are we looking for, this position if they all looked great? Because and we'll end it here. Mario continued to say it throughout the entire spring. The portal is always open. That's his philosophy. The portal is always open, and we don't have to beleaguer the situation at Tennessee. But Mario's answer was, and we'll talk about some national coverage on the other side. But Mario's answer on the idea of holding out is, yeah, you want to hold out, fine. You, instead of holding out, just get out. Like, we're not going to put up with that. And people took that negatively, but I spun it positively by saying, well, he's saying, like, if you don't want to be here, leave. Like, go find somewhere else to play. The portal's open. Yeah, like, if something's wrong with the NIL deal, or you feel like you're not where you need to be on the depth chart, or you're not getting playing time, like, go find somewhere else to play. It's a free agency market. Have fun. But we're not going to sit here. We're not going to play around with this.
Right. We're not going to renegotiate against ourselves. And Miami is, I know that the opposing fans, like Florida fans and other people, always try to talk down about Miami and say, oh, like Miami doesn't pay NIL or we've never had an issue with that since NIL has become a thing in any sport, period. So if you're saying otherwise, you're a liar. Allegedly, for legal purposes. Yeah, no, and you can see it in action from Mario Cristobal as well. He doesn't just talk the talk, he walks the walk, right? Colby Young, hey, I think that I deserve more, and I want to go back and renegotiate this deal after 2023, heading into 2024. Coach did it. Great. See ya. Went to Georgia for, had that whole interaction.
Had some issues.
Other things happened afterwards,
right.
But just saying, hey, I think I'm worth more than this, and if y'all aren't willing to do whatever, then I'm going to leave. See ya. Isaiah Horton, same thing, in line to be the number one receiver this year, and then boom, now he's playing for Alabama. Yo, I will see you, my boy. Chris Johnson, and I know his is more playing time than anything, but still, and there are more examples thereof where Mario Cristobal, he said, if you want to play hold out, play get out. He is about that life, guys, and I, for one, for two, because Brian said he enjoyed it, I think that that's the way that you should go.
I will say there's been one time when we played a game, Cam. Can you think of it? One time where there was a renegotiation, there was some negotiating asked for. They may need a little more scrub, and we had to pony up. Can you tell me the situation?
Oh, it was Cam Ward.
No.
Then no.
Ja'Cory Brown to stay to play for the bowl game.
We did. Yeah. But that was...
Yeah, we surrendered on that one. We gave in.
We did capitulate on that one.
We had no choice. We had no quarterback.
We literally did not have another scholarship.
We literally did not have a quarterback.
Okay. But that is such a micro detail against the macro. I mean, because like in general, and that was only for one game, and then said, "Cool, bye, see you."
Right.
Go read
but I didn't want some fan coming at me going, "Oh well, you remember the Ja'Cory Brown? We did Mario did that
actually,
blah blah." Yeah, okay,
yeah,
fine. So
no, you're right.
I wanted to cover my tuchus on that one.
Both of our tuchuses, as it were. But exactly. No, you are correct, and I agree with you that I think that Mario Cristobal has a good mentality towards things, and obviously I think the operations are going well in terms of NIL. And if a player wants to be somewhere else, then we are not going to begrudge them that. Mark Richt was famously aligned with that as well. Said, hey, if you don't want to be here, I will help you get to where you want to
be. Yeah, exactly. I don't know how much Mario's helping, but he's definitely given them the opportunity to find their way someplace else. All right,
well,
let's take a break. Yeah,
maybe
go ahead.
Maybe not driving them all the way there, but cool. I'll meet with you. I'll talk with you. Hey,
sure.
We'll send you over to the support staff. We will put all the paperwork in. If you, hey, if the coach calls me, I will answer it. I will tell them, I will give them the full download on you and everything. Like, I will do everything that I'm required to do. I'm not necessarily going to, buy flowers and charter a limousine and everything for you. You know what I mean? Charter a private jet and say, I might not do all of that, but yeah, insofar as I'm required, I will absolutely help you figure out where you want to go, whether that's Georgia, Alabama, or somewhere else.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. On the other side, I said we got to get to some portal stuff. That's already happened. We got to get to some recruiting stuff. We have to get to some basketball hires, and Cam desperately wants to talk about some national fodder that happened on the Worldwide Leader in Sports. He told me that's really all he wanted to spend the whole podcast on was this whole situation.
I'm upset that we've diverted so long.
How dare we talk about the spring game when there's ESPN stuff to talk about? So we'll get to that and more on the other side. You're listening and watching the Real Ones Canes podcast. Welcome back to the Real Ones Canes podcast. He is Cam Underwood. He's the managing editor at stateoftheu.com. Go check out stateoftheu.com. As Cam says, it's open 24/7, 365, and it's free. There's no paywall there. You just log onto the website, and it's there. And I'm Brian the Beast London. I'm managing editor of this hotel room, which I will explain really quickly. I've been living with my family in a hotel locally because my house has no power and no air conditioning if it did have power, because my compressor, my air handler, and my main breaker box all blew all at the same time. So we're dealing with that issue. Yeah. No, it's good. Oof. It's really good. So we're dealing with that. It's fun times. It really is. Although I will tell you that any place that has a free breakfast is, better than my house. So there you
get those Hilton rewards points, man. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, in this case, it's a Marriott, but I do have both points. Still. It was just where I could find a reservation at the god-awful hour that we had to pull in here, in any event. So let's get to the portal first, because a couple of guys have entered the portal. Mm-hmm. One was really surprising to me that kind of came out of left field. And it was interesting to me because when we talked about our keys to the spring game last week, I mentioned him as someone I really wanted to see. Mm-hmm. Of course, when I did that, I totally forgot that he had undergone a procedure and was wearing a cast and probably wouldn't play much, but that's neither here nor there. And we're talking about Zaquan Patterson, who I really expected to be the next great safety at Miami, because I talked to a bunch of people who told me that once he became the starter, once he got more confident, he would lay the boom, he would be the big hitter, he would be a great safety. And evidently, he just said, not the right place, not the right time. Whatever that means, he out. Your thoughts, Cam?
Yeah, he did undergo a procedure and did not participate all spring, did Zaquan Patterson. And, hey, I don't harbor any ill will towards these players, as people. I hope that he finds the place that's for him. For you and I both, the University of Miami was that place for us in our journeys, and it's exactly not for him. I think that he handled it the way it was to be handled. Like, he went through everything authentically while he was here. And through that whole time, even, getting this procedure to get himself right to play in the fall, I just said, hey, you know what? It's not for me. And I am not him, so I don't have any further narrative. So sorry to let you guys know that. But, it's disappointing from a roster construction standpoint, because he was a huge get in the world of recruiting. An all-American high school player, played at Chaminade. He can hit, he can run. He routinely just deboed guys in high school. Like, they would be running down the field. He'd get to the tackle point and be like, I'm not going to tackle you. Just yoink, let me get that football. I'm running the other way. Like, this is a supremely talented player. And he's the kind of player that you need to win championships.
Yeah.
And to build a championship caliber roster. So from that point, from a football standpoint and a potential standpoint, it is disappointing after 1 year to see a player like Zaquan Patterson leave. However, again, if you're looking for the best place for you and are very firm and clear on this is not it for whatever reason, vaya con Dios, good luck, Godspeed, and I hope that you find it, and I will wish you well. But yeah, it is a little deflating because he's super duper talented, But, Miami has brought in a ton of defensive backs recently. Even, in the previous recruiting class of 2023 or 2024, excuse me, you look at a guy like a Dylan Day, who was a special teams all-star. And like most everybody who's ran college football video game franchise or dynasty with Miami starts Dylan Day year 2 at safety, and he's incredible and seems to be developing in real life along the same lines of his video game avatar. So that's encouraging. You get Zachariah Poyser, who was a freshman All-American as well. So, I mean, there are players, and I always believed that Miami was going to be looking for another safety in the spring portal. Now I think that becomes really a necessity as well. So disappointing on one hand, but understandable and acceptable on another hand with Zaquan leaving.
Well, the other thing is you're not just looking for another safety for depth. He was going to probably be a starter, right? Opposite of Zachariah Poyser. Probably.
Well, at least he was going to be in the 2 deep, and he was going to play. Play.
Right, exactly. So you're not just looking for depth to fill out the roster. You're looking for someone that needs to come in and have some sort of an impact. So, add that to the list. I'm just not going to cry over spilled milk anymore with guys leaving. Other than, if Carson Beck had decided, you know what, I know I just got here, but it's not right for me, I'm out. Like, okay, I'm going to have an issue because now we don't have a quarterback. Like, that's a problem. But other than that, like, there's 80 other guys on the roster that I need to care about. So there you go. Josh Horton has decided to leave the program. It didn't surprise me. It's not overly bothering to me. Do you have any insights there? Any thoughts there on that one? Again, you're looking at a position where I think they were probably going to go out and maybe grab someone in the portal anyways, maybe.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts there?
I mean, Joshua Horton was always a guy who, with size and talent and, more potential, and hopefully you're going to be able to get him there. As I on StateOfTheU.com, by the way, I write a recruiting notebook for every player who signs every single year, with one exception, because I heard from somebody that Isaiah Thomas, the safety 2 years ago, wasn't going to end up signing at Miami. He ended up signing, and I never got back to write that one. Cool. So since 2012, there's a singular player who signed on this roster that I have not written one for. So I went and I looked up Joshua Horton's really quick. He was a 3-star recruit, number 54 defensive lineman nationally, 51 in the state of Georgia, number 488 nationally. So that tells me that, and he was in the 2023 recruiting class. So he was here for that season, last season, and so this is his, going into his 3rd year. He's 6'5", 295. He's up in the 300s now. So he has size and potential, but never really developed into a guy who would play. I would have thought from the ranking and from the athletic profile that the player who would have stepped up into the defensive tackle playing role as a developmental guy would have more been Joshua Horton instead of Ahmad Moten. But it's the inverse. Ahmad Moten
other way around,
playing, and Horton is languishing with 3s, trying to make it into the 2 deep. And not only had he been recruited over once, but over the course of 2 cycles subsequent to his signing, I think it's 4 high school guys and 3 transfers since he's been on campus that have been recruited over him and developed ahead of him. So it's just it was coming to be that time. Are you in an age gone by? If this is still like the early 2000s or 90s or something, I could see Joshua Horton sticking and then maybe playing a rotational role in year 4 and maybe pushing for a starting role in year 5.
Yeah.
Times have changed. The timeline gets moved up by at least a year. We're coming into year 3. Look, I've been recruited over by 7, 8, 9 dudes. Well, I've been recruited over by 7 dudes. Even another dude who came in the same class as me has developed ahead of me. So now, over the course of this time, 9, almost 10 dudes at defensive tackle and have been put in front of me, let alone putting Mesidor and Bain inside at times also when I'm standing right here. Yeah, it's time. So, again, good luck, Godspeed. it was a developmental thing, didn't get to where it needed to be. We move on.
All right, let's get to recruiting. I don't want to speculate on any more portal things because I think a lot's going to happen in the next few days that we can kind of recap when we do our next show. So I don't want to start getting out in front of things and speculate about who's staying, who's going, whatever. We'll save that for the next show and recap and then look at who we might have to go after in the portal and what have you. But I do want to talk about recruiting because there's some stories out there. We did now the last show we talked about the number one recruit in the nation, Jackson Cantwell, narrowing down his field, what have you. Now we have a date when he is going to announce, and we think it's the three schools of Miami, Oregon, and Georgia. And what do we know? What was it? Is it coming? It's coming like 2 weeks from now. He's going to announce.
Absolutely. So in what was put out there by Hayes Fawcett, who did the edit, from On3, the former high school kid who started doing edits and now is full-time doing edits. He did include Ohio State as the number 4 in that. I still don't think that they're a real contender. Maybe a puncher's chance there. But yeah, it's really Miami, Oregon, Georgia, and then like O-State around there somewhere as a named 4th finalist. Jackson Cantwell, he said, he was going to take through the summer, and then he quote tweeted his own tweet and said, hey, probably closer than I think. And then he's come out and said, cool, April 30th, making a commitment that's been put out by all the recruiting sites and everything. The thing here, and okay, first of all, before I say the other thing I'm going to say, Brian, breathe. Deep breath in and out. The other part of the news was Jackson Cantwell moved his Oregon official visit from the end of June to the week before his commitment. Breathe, stop.
Okay. I'm okay. I'm okay.
So there's that. He's going to visit Oregon around their spring game, which is during the NFL draft, like the 26th to the 28th. And then the 30th is his commitment date. So I'll just go really quickly on the two ways that I see to view it. Number one, Miami has been strong and staunch in this recruitment, got him on campus 3 times in the last 7 months, all his unofficial visits paid for by his parents 2 times in the last 9 weeks, by the way, and are running, down the back straight in front. So that's what precipitated him moving up his process in general because of what Miami is doing. Then he said, well, instead of doing that and having a team that I'm interested in a little bit, be the visit way, and because he hasn't visited there, he's visited these other teams, let's move that up, do a visit there, and then commit. But Miami's way in front, so we shouldn't feel any kind of ways bothered. That's option 1. Option 2 of how to look at things, which is a little bit more anxiety-inducing. I'm so very sorry. The other way is announcing on the 30th, I've been all these other places. I really think I like Oregon. I want to go out there for an official visit. That's going to seal the deal potentially for that. That's the other way you could look at things. Personally, I'm of the former, Miami having been in front, and this has been multiply reported by all of the recruiting sites, by, people that, I talk to on the side from recruiting sites, other people that I talk to in the world of recruiting on the side as well, and everything. But I think either way that things go, Miami is squarely in this recruitment for the number 1 player in America in Jackson Cantwell. And, we're going to continue to do everything that we need to do in the next 15 days between now, as time of recording, between now and his commitment date. Not saying that anything is guaranteed, but yeah, Miami has been like heavy on the gas here from jump. And I'm hopeful that things work out in our way.
And by the way, like we've been telling you for a couple of weeks now about the connection between Jackson Cantwell's parents and the track program at Miami, because Amy Deem, who's in charge of the track program at Miami and has been forever, also had a lot to do with USA track, and his parents both were throwers for USA Olympic track and field. And so there's a connection there. They know each other, blah, blah, blah. Other reporters have just put that out there in this past week. I'm not trying to like beat our chest. Like we've been talking about that. So there is that connection, which I think is a good thing for Miami. A couple of other commitments with Wyman and Waters for the University of Miami.
Yeah, so these guys are already committed in Jalen Waters and Jontavius Wyman being the most recent commit. But Jalen Waters put out a tweet that said he is fully locked down or ending his recruitment. He's locked in with Miami. He's not taking official visits anywhere else. John Tavius Wyman actually copy pasted that exact same statement and posted a picture of himself with Mario Cristobal from his unofficial visit when he committed and said the same thing. So 2 of our 3 cornerback commits have both indicated that they are locked in with Miami and not taking visits elsewhere or not taking official visits elsewhere, and are locked in with the U. So hopefully that, I mean, obviously we will continue to recruit them all the way up through and until they sign. But that those are positive moves because, we can reprioritize our focus from them elsewhere. Still connect and say, hey, do all the things, but maybe with just maybe turn down like a 10th or 2 on the intensity that we need to continue to shepherd those guys to the finish line because they've indicated that the finish line is very near.
Yeah, without a doubt. And by the way, if you want, again, all the recruiting news, all the news everywhere, go to stateoftheu.com. Plenty of info there for you to suck up that you don't get here or anywhere else. Okay, let's get into this. So Mike Greenberg, ESPN, they're talking about
Whomst? What was that now?
Mike Greenberg, ESPN. Enunciate, Brian. He was on the ESPN, the worldwide leader, basically saying, Mario Cristobal talking about the quarterback from Tennessee going anywhere. Well, Mario, you had a contract in Oregon and you left. Yes, Mike, you're right. Coaches do pick up and leave. Mm-hmm. But as we addressed in the last segment, as was addressed after the spring game, Mario is saying, if you don't want to be at my school, you can leave. I'm not going to wait for you to negotiate or do anything. Like, have fun. So it's not like Mario Cristobal is saying, no, I'm in the same camp. Like, I can leave, but you can't. So I don't know what your thoughts are, but when I saw that, I rolled my eyes.
I rolled my eyes so hard they almost fell out the back of my head. The other part was Ryan Clark on the same show then directly blaming Mario Cristobal and what Miami's NIL is doing in paying Carson Beck the reported $4 million. And that being the thing with which Nico took exception to then want to go and renegotiate his deal and then hold out and then leave.
I just want to tell you from multiple sources, I don't know the exact number that Carson Beck is being paid. It is not that number.
Mike Ryan said it on the Dan Le Batard show. You were saying it. I've heard it.
I haven't gotten to the show yet today, so
I literally just saw the clip on social.
Okay.
But I'm just saying. So you have said this. I agree with you. I have heard this from people that I talk to as well. And Mike Ryan, very connected alum and supporter of Miami.
He's not an alum. He's
not an alum. Excuse me.
No.
Excuse me. I'm sorry.
But he is a golden. He is the Golden Cane and is owner of Cane's Insight.
Correct. All of those things.
Yes.
But he has also said it is not $4 million, which has been reported. Now, Nico, I've been calling him $8 million Nico since he was a recruit because it was widely known that the first major number was him at $8 million with NIL. That was, and they had litigation about it. Like, I don't know how people, I would say it, and when he redshirted, the people like, whoa. Who's $8 million Nico? What are you talking about? I'm like, bro, like y'all don't follow recruiting. Like I follow recruiting and I've been blogging it and writing about it for years. Anyways, but the fact, whether the number is right or wrong, to place blame on a singular coach, a singular program, and a singular player for being the cause of someone else unconnected doing whatever they did. I was about to say a curse word, but it's asinine. It's so stupid, Ryan Clark, to say that. You know what I mean? And like, I get that you want to keep up with the Joneses, right? I know there's like, oh my God, like my neighbors, they got a Beamer, so I want to go get a Benz, and they got a Ferrari or a Lamborghini. I want a Ferrari, and like all of those different kind of things. But like the thing with contracts is you have to be comfortable with them when you sign them. Right? Not later. Because like if I'm a free agent and I sign my deal today and Brian signs one in 2 days and it's for more than mine, I'm not going back and saying, well, hey, I might feel that way, internally. But when you sign it, you have to be comfortable with it. And Nico, $8 million Nico. This is confirmed. That number is firm and confirmed. You go look it up on Google on your phone while you're listening to this, right? And then all of a sudden now you want to come back and relitigate that you think that you deserve more when you were like the 9th or 10th best quarterback in the SEC last year. Like, if you were a Heisman Trophy caliber player, then maybe, right? But regardless of the foundation of why Nico, or really Big Nick Iamaleava, and Brian is showing you that he
right
Googled
there.
it, and it's right there.
$8 million Nico, yeah.
Been saying it for 3 years, guys, and it's not new knowledge. Go look it up. Of like, not only that, but like you can go and search the news tab and go back and back and back to when this came out years ago about this. But to then say the decisions of the Iamaleava family are the fault of the actions taken by Mario Cristobal and Miami Hurricanes football is asinine. And I get it that we're this national brand. I get it that we are the bad guys, that everybody wants to look at anything that we do and say it's terrible. Do you remember, Brian, when Nigel Pack's 2-year, $800,000 NIL deal
that blew people's minds?
Blew minds? $400,000 a year. Oh my God, Miami, $400,000 a year is a third of what Nico was making.
Right.
And like laughable in the current NIL market. But the fact that it was Miami is what got everybody riled up. And this is where we are with what happened on the 4-Letter Network earlier today. You know what? I know I'm getting worked up and I know I'm waxing poetic about it, but as the hashtag that I created says, let's be jerks. If you want to hate on somebody for doing something, hate on me then. Fine. If we got to be the bad guy, if we have to be the boogeyman, if you're so scared about what Mario Cristobal, or concerned about what Mario Cristobal is doing, and you want to like watch our pockets and what Carson Beck is doing because he decided to leave the University of Georgia for whatever his reasons were, fine. And if you got to be mad at it and you got to keep our name in your mouth, then you do that. Fine, whatever. But like, just also know, Mike Greenberg and Ryan Clark, both, I'm name checking you, and you're absolutely categorically, verifiably wrong. So hold that L.
Next week, we do a dissertation on supply and demand, fair market value as it relates to NIL and college free agency.
Macro and microeconomics, let's get it.
Yep. Maybe I'll use my MBA for something. In any event,
come on.
Real quick before we get out of here, I just do want to say that the University of Miami did announce that Jay Lucas hired 2 assistants to his staff today. Eric Pastrana, who's been around college basketball for a long time. He's a South Florida guy from Wellington. And Charlton Young, a.k.a. CY, was at FSU for a long time with Leonard Hamilton. He's a guy from Miami that was a great basketball player in high school down here in the early 90s, I think, late 80s, early 90s. So that his staff, Carroll City, his staff is coming together. And so we'll have more on that as we get further along. But before
you also finish that, Andrew Moran from Columbus was
Columbus, right?
The hire was completed, so he's assistant coach and director of player development, I believe. And then his lead assistant at Columbus got promoted at Columbus after 4 straight national championships and things like that.
So a topic that I know is going around on some of the message boards, I don't want to get to it now, but I'm just planting the seed so we can both marinate on this. We may need a week or two for you and I to kind of figure out on this. Is the staff, has it developed players, or have they just recruited really good players that could step in and play once they got their time? Don't answer now. Side? Yeah, don't answer now. With football. Don't answer now. Just start thinking about guys that you think have developed under the Mario Cristobal staff. Just placehold that in your brain.
But what if?
Okay? Nope.
But how about?
Nope.
But maybe if.
Nope. Just marinate. Okay. Cam. Just marinate.
Okay. All right. Like some chicken thighs. We're just gonna marinate for a minute. I get it.
All right.
Okay.
we will record another episode either later this week, next week, talk about all the portal stuff. We'll bring you in all our insights, that and more. Cam, you have yourself a great day. Continue to crank out great content at stateoftheu.com.
I'll do my best.
For those of you that are listening or watching, I said something else before that. We will never see or hear that again. For Cam Underwood, I'm the Beast, Brian London. I'm going to go soak myself in a bath of shame. We will see you next time right here on the Real Ones Canes podcast. Peace.